Hello, everyone. Welcome. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending of which part of the world you're joining us today. I would like to welcome everyone to this session where we'll cover Herzing University, the undergraduate and graduate programs that this exceptional university has to offer, tuition fees, and how an application process looks like. Thank you so much for attending this session. My name is Valentina Marni, Community Engagement Manager at Global University Systems. And with me today, I have two exceptional speakers. Anissa Neal, Director of International Missions and Operations.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Anissa. I would also like to introduce Shilpi Mishra, Associate Director at InUni Global. Hello, Shilpi. How are you?
Hi, Valentina. Thank you. Hi, all. Thank you for having me and thank you for joining the session.
Thanks a lot, Shilpi. Just to make sure, Shilpi, Anissa, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I just want to remind everyone that this session is being recorded and will be shared with all of you who have registered afterwards. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the Q&A box we have below, and we'll be glad to take them to our panelists. Okay, so moving on to today's session, I would like to start by asking you, Anissa, if you could please share with our audience today about Herzing's undergraduate programs and admission requirements.
Sure. Yeah, and thank you again. And thanks again, everyone, for joining. We are all very busy, and we appreciate you taking the time to listen to Herzing University's details and what we are offering. So Herzing University offers graduate and undergraduate programs. We're going to talk about the graduate programs a bit later. But here I'm going to tell you about the the undergraduate programs. We offer a couple of different technology options. We offer a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and also a Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. Both of these programs are very recently rewritten and more modernized programs, so we try to do our best to keep all of our technology at the forefront with the most current and the most up-to-date technology to teach our students. And the great thing about these two programs is they are both what are called STEM programs. And a STEM eligible program is a program that gives you an additional 2 years of work opportunity in the USA should you be interested in applying for it. So all students get that 1 year of OPT that they can apply for, but anyone that completes a STEM degree gets an additional 2 years for a total of 3 years of work experience allowed after graduation. In addition to these two great technology programs, we've also got a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. This program is great for anyone who's interested in operating or running a business, owning their own business, working on the business side of every business. I always say every business needs people who can manage a business. So business management is a very flexible degree as far as what you can use it for, as again, all businesses need someone who can manage business, from marketing to finance and accounting and entrepreneurship, and all of those things are really important. Every year we have 3 intakes. Currently, we are showing on the screen the next 2 intakes that we have available. Right now, we are really heavy in recruiting for the September 2025 intake, which is our fall intake. The classes start on September the 3rd, and our application deadline is going to be July the 20th. And then also, we have already started to see some applications come in for the next intake as well, and that one's in January of 2026. The classes actually begin on January the 5th, and our application deadline for that is going to be November the 28th of 2025. Application requirements, we'll hop into some more details about that in just a little bit. But admissions requirements, similar to application requirements, we'll talk about that now. All of our undergraduate applications do require the GUS Gateway actual application itself. It's an electronic application form that tells us all the details about you, who you are, your contact information, your education history up until this point, also what program you want to apply to, and then some more detailed application sign-offs that you can review. Also, a passport is required, and that passport needs to be unexpired and not going to expire for at least 6 months after you start classes. We also offer an admissions exam called the Wonderlic test. It's a 3-part exam that we use for admissions decisions for undergraduate students. This exam can replace what a lot of traditional schools accept for the SAT or the ACT. So instead of taking the SAT or the ACT, you can take this Wonderlic exam, and it's an exam that's sent via email. Students can actually take it right from their own home. It is kind of proctored electronically. However, it's something that you can take kind of unscheduled and more at your own schedule. You can take the entire exam in about a little less than 50 minutes, which is convenient since that ACT and SAT test, those take about 4 hours, and you have to go somewhere to take them, and they can be a bit more cumbersome to actually be able to sit for those exams. Also, English language proficiency. We take a lot of different English language exams. You can see the score requirements for undergraduate students here on the screen. Academically, our undergraduate students do require a high school diploma, and that's the equivalent of the 12th grade in the United States. We can take unofficial transcripts for that. And in the event that we feel we need an official, we would ask for it, but that's a very rare that we would do that. And also a certificate of finance, which basically says who your sponsor is and shows that they do have the financial means to be able to support you while you're in school. And then the documents that you see over there to the right-hand side, those are application sign-offs that are all really part of the GUS Gateway. But it's a disclosure that shares all the accreditation information about Herzing, the consumer information, your enrollment agreement, and then also an international student statement of understanding that tells you all the details about how to go through or what the details are about your visa approval and notification and some other details about arriving in the US and things like that. So just a more detailed document that we want your notification of.
Thank you so much for that information, Anissa. I'm sure this is very helpful for our audience today. Now I would like to invite Shilpi to the stage. Shilpi, could you please share with us how the application process for undergraduate courses looks like?
Sure, Valentina. Thank you, Anissa, for the insight. And going ahead, as we have already known that what are the prerequisites for Herzing University is. So I will talk to you about the application flowchart for undergrad. So as we all know, we have to put the application through the GUS Gateway portal, and we have to put all the documents at one place. And it is very important and crucial that we should have documents like application form, passport copy, the proof of English. And Anisha has already informed you what are the English scores which we are accepting, and the high school and the 12th documents. So students who have got the passport copy, POE, SSC, and HSC documents, then you can put the application form. What happens next? After this, there is a dedicated team who will be ensuring that your application is with all the documents within our system, and they process the application, and we do a change on the Smart Apply of the review status to completed. Please note it means acceptance. And if we do not receive the required document, so there is a gap in the application which we have not received from your end. The application does look as a completed over there, but it will be you will be looking at it as a reflection completed, partially accepted. So what we need to do, we need to generate the COA with the missing documents and raise a task for the agent for the missing documents. This is really important because many times we are just not aware that the documents are not complete, and that is the reason the turnaround time for us gets exceeded. So we need your support in this, and then we move forward with the admission stage. So generation of the COAs happen with the pending documents, as I have told you, and we move the application from the document stage to the admission stage to refer the file. And then that is the time where the updation happen on the Smart Apply tracker by the dedicated team members. And the most important part for undergrad is the Wonderlic test link, which Anisha has already explained to you what it is. And it is a replacement. Students can take it instead of SAT, which is quite convenient. Sitting at your home, you can give it, and this Wonderlic test will be shared by the university. So the stage is that once the student application is in the process, you have got the application system with all the documentation, the student receives the Wonderlic test link, and the student needs to complete and gets the pass over there. If he has completed it, he gets a three-time chances, first and second back-to-back. But if the second time they don't get through it, they have to wait for at least 2 weeks. And once they have cleared it, then only the final COL is issued. That is conditional offer letter. And once that is done, the issuance of conditional offer has happened. The student needs to have the acceptance, the proof of acceptance, that is the financial funding. They have to prove, which they have to submit is $30,000, which we have already mentioned. And then we reach to the amazing stage, which is the I-20 issuance. And I-20 will be issued after the financial and enrollment documents are reviewed by the university. And please note, dear partners, it will be issued to the student email ID. So you have to be connected with your students to let us know that they have received the I-20. Over to the next slide, please.
Thank you for that information, Shilpi. Having a visual flow chart, let me put that flow chart again so that our audience can look at it. I think certainly helps students to get a better understanding of the whole process. Thank you again for that. I know that we have attendees today that are also interested in postgraduate programs. Anissa, may I ask you to come back to the stage, please, and tell us more about the graduate options Herzing has to offer?
Yes, definitely. So as I mentioned, we have graduate options at Herzing University as well. And you can see the titles of all of those programs right here on the slide. So the first program we have is a Master of Business Administration. We also offer a Master of Business Administration in Business Analytics, which is another one of those STEM programs that I mentioned earlier with the benefit of the additional 2 years of work experience available. Also, we have an MBA with a concentration in project management and an MBA with a concentration in healthcare management. And all 4 of these programs, similarly to those undergrad IT programs, has also been recently rewritten and more modernized and basically given a really nice facelift and added a lot more components in them that are more relevant in today's world. So lots of AI components in all of these programs, even though they're not technology related, but things that are going to really set students apart from other graduates of similar programs with the content of these courses. So the total length of these programs is about 16 months or 4 enrolled semesters. And the intake dates for these are going to be the same as the ones for the undergraduate program. So our next 2 intakes are going to be this fall 2025, which those classes start September the 3rd, and the application deadline is July the 20th. And then our next intake beyond that is going to be spring 2026, where our classes will start on January the 5th. And our application deadline for that is going to be November the 28th of 2025. Also, the application requirements are very similar to the undergraduate admissions requirements. I'm going to point out where they are different, since we all just heard me say those undergraduate requirements. Again, the application form on the gateway is the same. The passport is the same. For graduate programs, there's no Wonderlic test required. So instead of using the Wonderlic test for admission, we use academic requirements. So we take a look at the student's previous academic history. So their undergraduate degree that they earned, bachelor's degree, we would take that degree and use the transcript to calculate their GPA. And we're looking for a GPA of 2.7 or higher. If a student did not earn a 2.7, but they've earned somewhere between a 2.3 and a 2.69, we can allow them to write a statement of purpose that can be submitted to our graduate academic dean, and she will review that and then make a decision on admitting that student based on their GPA and that statement of purpose. So one of the questions that is no doubt going to be asked, I'll go ahead and answer it now before you guys ask it, is do we accept 3-year bachelor's degrees? And the answer is yes, we do accept 3-year bachelor's degrees from most countries. India and Nepal are yeses. We do take 3-year bachelor's degrees from there, as those are definitely the ones that we most commonly see. But we do also accept 3-year bachelor's degrees from other countries as well. We would still just take that transcript, do the review, and then find out what the equivalency is in comparison to the U.S. education. Also, backup one is to English proficiency. English proficiency here, you can see again those very same exams on the screen. We do have a little bit higher requirement for our graduate students on each of these exams. not much, just a little tiny bump in that, so that we can confirm that students are capable of good English skills and will be successful in the program. And also that certificate of finance, kind of the same, showing who your sponsor is, and then also that they have the financial means to be able to support you while you're in school. And then those documents over on the right-hand side, those enrollment documents, those are going to be the same as well.
Thank you, Anissa, for that information. I would like to bring back Shilpi to the stage because the application flowchart for undergraduate programs you shared with us was so informative. Could you please share with our audience how the application process looks like for postgraduate programs?
Sure. Thank you, Valentina, and thank you, Anissa, for again the deep insight about the postgrad programs. And coming to the application flow chart about graduate programs, again, it's almost similar, but there will be certain difference which I can just highlight over here. So definitely, as I already informed you, we need the application form to the GUS Gateway portal. We have the passport copy. The requirement for the proof of English is mandatory, and degree documents. We require the student to have the degree certificate to put the application, and the documentations are really, really vital. Without that, our team cannot be able to process it ahead to the university to get a decision to your applicant. Receiving the documents, the dedicated team change. Similarly, as I informed you, they will be changing the Smart Apply review status to completed, which means accepted. And if not, then you will be getting the review status would be completed but partially accepted, which means students need to complete the documentation and you need to be really faster on it so that the student will be able to get the offer ASAP, and we will be able to match up with the promising of the turnaround time, which we keep on telling you. The next is the evaluation stage. So there is an internal evaluation done. You might have heard that people from the different part have got an external evaluation bodies like WES and the other NACES evaluation. But here, the great part is internal evaluation is done. And this internal evaluation is received through the required GPA. A statement of purpose is required, as Anissa already mentioned. If the student is having a GPA that is a grade point average between 2.3 to 2.69, and SOP should not be copy pasted or should not be from ChatGPT. It has to be from the student's own mind and own creative lines, why he really wants to be a part of this university and the particular program. Going ahead, once everything is done, document stage to admission stage to refer the file to that university finally, and then the dedicated team Smart Apply tracker updated, and they are in the stage of issuing the conditional offer, so need updated financials. So the financials is definitely $30,000, which has been mentioned, who is supporting the student, who are the sponsors, that has to be approved to you, from your side to be given to us, so that the university can finally review it and we get our most important awaiting document, that is I-20, and receive the updated financials and all enrollment documents, and university review it for the final I-20, and you are on time to match our fall intake 2025. Yes, next slide. So the documents which we are required for a successful application, these are the major critical documents which needs to be submitted, without which your application will not go to the next stage. It is a valid passport copy, English language proficiency, financial documents, and academic credentials. Next slide. Coming to the turnaround time, about the application process timeline. So I will just explain you the task by task and what does it mean and what is the timeline against each of the tasks. Time frame from application submission by an agency to referral to the university partner. It means validate the documents on Smart Apply and generate the COA, which will be like within a 24 to 48 hours. Then conduct a credit evaluation, which will again be minimum 28 to maximum of 48 hours. And if we receive a complete file at the time of application submission, we can proceed to refer for an admit, which is just 24 hours. So sooner we get everything, we are happy to give you a quicker offer letter, and the total is just 5 business days. Time frame from referral to decision making the university partner. Once the file is reviewed, the Wonderlic test link will be sent to the undergrad students. As we have mentioned, that it is the test which students will be taking only in undergrad. It is between 24 to 48 hours. My request is, once your student receive it, please push your students to give the test. It is not tough. They have to do it so that they can reach to the next level. Once the undergrad student takes and passes the Wonderlic test, the conditional admit letter can be issued. Again, the time frame is 24 to 48 hours, And we promise you for that. For graduate students, the conditional offer admit letter will be issued once the file has been reviewed within the 24 to 48 hours. And then the final time frame from complete file, including the enrollment and financials, to get an I-20 issuance is once the financial and enrollment documents are received to us, the application will be reviewed by the admissions. We maintain the timeline of 24 to 48 hours. But yes, please note, you have to be very specific about how you are uploading the documents. So kindly be very much assured about how soon we are uploading it. And once the admission team reviews the documents, they will be automatically integrated with Herzing University. Herzing admissions will share the documents with the ISS team to issue the I-20. And that comes within a minimum of 3 to maximum of 5 business days set by the Herzing University dedicated team. This is the turnaround time for each stage, which we will maintain and which we are maintaining if the documents are within the time frame and with the completion to us. And if you have any queries, we have all the dedicated team members across India, and we will be supporting you for the same. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shilpi. I know some of the concerns that students may have are about financials, but Herzing University also offers a scholarship for international students. I'd like to invite Anissa back to the stage. Anissa, could you tell us more about the tuition fees and what this scholarship is about?
Sure. Yeah, so you can see it broken down basically by program here, as far as the name of the program. The next column, you'll see the total number of credit hours required for graduation for that program. And then to the far right-hand side, you will see the total scholarship available for that program. And then just to the left of that, sort of in the center, you'll see the total tuition fee after the scholarship for all of these students. So this is not a scholarship that you have to apply for. This is a scholarship that we grant to all international students that come to Herzing University. So you'll see it listed on your I-20, which we know can be very helpful for visa interviews and also students that may be applying for student loans or things like that. So the scholarship comes at $5,000 per semester. And so knowing that the undergraduate programs are about 8 semesters and that the graduate programs are about 4 semesters, you'll see the total of the scholarship, again, they're listed based on the number of semesters of the program, and then the $5,000 per semester. Broken down just a little bit so that you can see in more detail. The first semester tuition fee also incurs an additional orientation fee for international students, and that fee is $700. And that fee covers a lot for international students. And we do only charge this fee for the first semester. We are aware that most universities charge an international student fee every semester. We have made a decision at Herzing just to do it in the first semester. And that fee covers all of the extra things that we have to do for international students throughout their enrollment, to helping them update and maintain their SEVIS status, registration in SEVIS, any processing and any status changes and whatnot. And that is the fee to help pay for all the university personnel that has to do that for these students. Also, we run an orientation program for the first 8 weeks that a student is here in the US. We're actually running one right now. We have a seminar meeting today, actually. This seminar, we go through making sure that students don't seem or feel like they're a tourist in the United States for a long period of time. We do everything that we can to help kind of integrate them into the US and teach them why things are the way that they are, so that they feel comfortable and feel confident every day, no matter what they're doing, whether they're traveling from home to class, or if they need to go to the grocery store, or if they just want to go out and do something fun in the city. We want them to be confident in knowing and understanding the US and being confident in doing all of those things. There's a learner resource fee also that's every single semester, and that is included in the total tuition fee you see there. That fee covers all of the technology, all of the resources that a student needs, all of their textbooks, all of their online resources, and that is included in tuition. So something great about the Herzing tuition is it's all inclusive. So You're never going to be asked to pay for anything additional outside of that. You're not going to get any surprise fees or anything. Everything is going to be included in the tuition that you pay. And then there is a $5,000 non-refundable deposit due within 7 days of approval of your F1 visa. I did see one of the questions in the question and answer box was, can I get a refund if my visa is refused? Well, we actually don't collect any money from a student prior to their visa interview. So there's no need for us to refund money if your visa is refused. We only collect any funds in the event that your visa is approved, and you have 7 days to make that first $5,000 deposit. And then any remaining tuition, which is usually around $1,500 to $2,500 depending on your program, just need to be paid before the student departs their home country. And I think that's it. I think that about covers all of the details about tuition. And again, that total tuition fee you see there is after all scholarships are applied, and that's for the full program from start to finish. So not all at one time. Obviously, students pay by the semester, which is really important too. We don't expect you to come in and pay that whole amount up front, just making that payment each semester before your classes begin. Some more detailed information on deadlines that you'll see here. So we talked about the intake dates. Again, the next intake date is fall 2025. Those classes are going to start in September, on September the 3rd. Our application deadline to apply to InUni is going to be July the 7th. And then InUni wants to be able to refer that full file to Herzing University by July the 11th. And we'll have an I-20 issuance deadline, which means all of the documents need to be into us by July the 20th of 2025. And then the visa notification deadline is going to be August the 18th of 2025. Now, we're already getting notifications of visas. We want to know, right away, as soon as your visa interview happens, we want to know that your visa was approved so that we can help you to get all the things done that you need to get done before you leave your home country and travel to the USA. But that notification deadline, meaning we want to know that your visa was approved, is August the 18th. Tuition fee deadline is going to be August the 22nd, and we will be having new student orientation on August the 28th in preparation for classes beginning on September the 3rd. And then similarly, kind of along the same timeline, is the spring intake. Again, I don't think I'm going to go through and read all of these. We can all snap a photo of this or read this. It's kind of boring to listen to some lady spout out dates to you, but the class start date is going to be January the 5th, and then InUni application deadline November the 17th, and then you can see the other dates that are between there.
Thanks a lot, Anissa, for sharing that information. And as I can see, the deadline for the fall intake is right around the corner. So
It
our
is right around the corner.
suggestion, yeah, so our suggestion for students is if you think Herzing is the right fit for you, gather your documents as soon as possible and contact your student advisor to start your application process. Okay, so we have questions through our Q&A box. So the first question I see is, does Herzing accept gap years? And if yes, how many years are acceptable?
Sure. I'm happy to answer that. This is a question that we get a lot, and I'll tell you guys, it's not usually the university. Universities don't really care in the US about gap years. You could have taken a year off, 2 years off, or maybe you finished your undergrad program and worked for 5 years and then decided to come to the US. We see these types of cases all the time. You don't have to support it to us. You have to be able to support those gap years when you go to the US Embassy to request your F1 visa. So it needs to make sense to them, and you need to have a reason why you have those gap years. And maybe it's just what I said. Maybe it's that you did your undergrad study, you worked for 5 years, and maybe you really realized you wanted something more or needed something more. Maybe you had a ill family member that you took care of, that you needed to take some time away from school. There's lots of valid reasons why students have gaps. They just need to feel like it makes sense to them, along with the reasons that you're coming to the US. And as long as you can support that and confidently say that to a visa interviewer, Herzing doesn't have any issues with it. We're happy to take students, and we take students with gaps all the time.
Thank you, Anissa. And I think this next question is has something to do with the answer you just gave us. They're asking if they can defer the admission to the next intake.
Yeah, so this question here is probably a very specific question. And the answer is yes, you can defer your admission to the next intake. I'm the specific student that asked, I don't know if you've been accepted already or not. But you always have the option to defer. We do track a bit about students who defer and defer and defer and defer. And sometimes we see students that defer a lot of times and, never schedule a visa interview and never really take those next steps. And at some point we would cut that off because we don't want to keep processing an application for a student who isn't seriously trying to come to the US. But yes, we do application deferments every single semester. We're deferring right now. We're still working through deferments from the summer semester, deferring students to the fall semester. So if you already have an application within uni, please reach out to your local Herzing University representative and ask them about deferring your application to the next intake.
Thank you, Anissa. Our audience is asking about the Wonderlic test. Could you please tell us more about it?
Yes, I will. So the Wonderlic exam, as a reminder, is an exam that we use for admissions purposes. So we use it for undergrad students to make an admissions decision on academics. Again, it is used in place of the SAT or the ACT exam, and it's 3 parts. So, and actually, let me back up. It comes to you via email. So as soon as we receive your application referred from InUni, within 24 to 48 hours, you should receive a link that comes from Wonderlic directly, not from Herzing, but from the Wonderlic, and invites you to take these exams. The first exam is 8 minutes. And it's kind of like a logic-based exam. It's very short, very quick, again, only 8 minutes. So you're going to want to make sure that when you click in that link that you can focus on just these exams during that time. You don't want to have a bunch of distractions and other things going on because 8 minutes is really fast. But the questions are not difficult. I think Shilpi mentioned that earlier. They're, really basic questions. We're just trying to make sure that students have the academic capacity to do well in an undergraduate program. And the questions, there's 50 questions on the exam, but no one's going to get through 50 questions, right? It's probably impossible to get through 50 questions in 8 minutes. But the questions are arranged in order of difficulty. So the first question on the test is the easiest. It's so easy, as a matter of fact, you might think it's a trick question. It's not. It really is that easy. And as the questions go on, they get a little more difficult and a little more difficult and a little more difficult. Many of them are multiple choice. And so, if you don't know, you're welcome to make a guess. We're just looking for correct answers. We don't care how many wrong answers you get. But the goal is to work quickly through the questions, not to spend too much time on one question. Again, you only have 8 minutes. So I always give the example, if you see a question you think you could answer, but maybe it's going to take you 2 minutes, maybe make a guess on that one and skip it. That's 25% of the time you have for the test. You might be able to answer 5 other questions in the time that it took you to work out that one question. So that's the 8-minute part. The next 2 parts we use for placement in math and English. They are not pass-fail tests. They are tests we just want you to take so that we can see where you are. And if you need a more remedial style math and or English class before you go into college level math or English, we want to give you that. We want to make sure that we meet students where they are and that we don't dump them into a class that they're not quite ready for. We want to give them the foundation that they need to be successful in that class. So while we do use these exams for admissions purposes, the 2 of the exams are not, we don't make an admissions decision on those. It's only the one that we use for the admissions decision. And that's the one that's the least difficult of all. So my guidance is don't be afraid of the exam. Just take it, see how you do. Most students do really well on it. But we see a lot of students that put it off and put it off and put it off. and then they take it and they're like, oh, I wish I would have done that sooner. It wasn't hard at all. And so if anyone out there is, pending on taking one of those exams, please go ahead and get it taken. If you don't do well the first time, we'll send it to you again to retake. And there's also lots of practice questions out there that you can look. Just do a quick Google search, Wonderlic practice questions. You will find a lot. And I know also that in uni does send out some practice resources for students too. So take a look at those and, just do your best and good luck.
Thanks, Anissa. I think we have time for a couple more questions. So we have one here that seems to be very good questions. Are there internship opportunities that help students transition into the workforce?
Yeah, so all of our programs have an internship in their final semester. And we often see students in those internships that do turn those internships into full-time employment after they graduate. I will say this is something that we as a university should really do a better job tracking, because we see that it's successful, but we find that our students aren't all going to work at the same place. So it does make it difficult to track and say this many students went to this company and this many students went to that company. We have a relatively reasonable sized student body, and they all go to different places to work in all different industries. So some of them go work for tech companies, some of them go work for big business, some of them go work for really, really big famous businesses that we've all heard of. And, so to answer your question, yes, many of them are able to turn their internship into full-time employment as part of their OPT. And then we have some of those that turn that into even longer term employment, that are able to apply for H-1B and get picked up for that. So to answer your question, yes, we do see quite a bit of that.
Thanks, Anissa. We also had another questions about OPT and CPT. So could you tell us how does Herzing University assist international students in applying for those?
Yeah, so CPT, you don't really have to apply for. CPT is curricular practical training, and it's the internship that we were just talking about. CPT has to be a requirement of your program, so it is a final semester program. There are a lot of other requirements to being able to apply for CPT in addition to that, but there are a lot that are actually set out by USCIS and SEVP about how long you have to be studying in the US in order to be able to apply, things of that nature. But our programs all have internships in the final semester. That is the CPT. So you can do that one full semester of internship in your final semester of study. And then OPT, yes, we do assist students in applying for OPT. And as a matter of fact, we prefer and recommend that you apply with us, because unfortunately, students that make mistakes on their applications, they get denied. And we don't want you to have your application denied. We want your application to be approved. The only applications that I have ever seen denied from Herzing University are applications where students did it on their own and didn't seek any help from the university, or a student did do it with the university, but when they went to mail it, didn't follow instructions of the university. So, OPT is, allowed at graduation. You can take up to 12 months, no matter what program you've graduated from, as long as you've never done OPT on that degree level before. And then also there's STEM OPT, where you can get the additional 24 months for those STEM programs, which can give you up to a total of 3 years of OPT time.
Thank you very much, Anissa. I think we have time for one more question. They were asking if we could highlight the admission requirements for the bachelor's program. So
Sure.
I don't know if you agree, Anissa. I can go back to that slide so you can just highlight the important things our audience need to know.
Yep, absolutely.
So I think this is the one. Yeah, that's the one, the undergraduate. Okay.
All right, so undergraduate admissions requirements, again, here on the screen, very similar to those graduate requirements that we also saw. All of them are going to require the electronic application through the GUS Gateway. That GUS Gateway application is also going to take care of all of those enrollment documents that you see there on the right-hand side. So the accreditation disclosure, the consumer information, the enrollment documents, and the International Student Statement of Understanding. Also, students are going to be required to have a passport. If there's an information page on that passport, we would need that too. So the photo page and the information page with the signature. The Wonderlic test, which we just talked about a lot, that is also required for undergraduate students. English language proficiency you see here, the TOEFL exam, the IELTS, the PTE, and the Duolingo, and the exam requirements for that. I did also see several questions in the question box asking if we take MOIs for proof of language, and we do not. And the reason that we don't take MOIs is not because we don't think that students can speak good English. It's because there's a lot of data that shows students that have these English language exams far exceed the visa approval rates for students who don't. So students who don't have one of these language exams can almost guarantee that they won't have their visa approved. And rather than go through that with the student, we would rather them go ahead and take this exam so that we can help them to be sure that they have all the best things in place to try to get that visa approval. The academic requirement here is a high school diploma. And the high school diploma needs to be the equivalent of year 12 in the United States, or the 12th grade in the United States. With that, we would need the transcript and also the certificate that comes, the diploma that comes along with that. And then lastly, the proof of finances, which shows a minimum of the equivalent of 30,000 US dollars. And then also whomever that account belongs to needs to provide a sponsor letter or support statement to go along with that, if the money belongs to someone else. So like if it's a father, a mother, or a family friend, an uncle, whomever that's provided that bank statement, they need to write a letter stating their intention to support you while you're in school. And then if the money is yours, like it's in your own name, then there's no need to provide a letter of support.
Thank you, Anissa, for answering all those questions. This is very useful information, and I'm sure that your answer has answered all the questions that our audience have today. And so with that, I think we can wrap up our session for today. Thank you all for the questions that we received through our Q&A box and that were responded by Anissa. Those that were not answered during our webinar today, we will get them to our team so that they can answer them to you through email. So don't worry, because we will not leave any questions unanswered. And with that, I would like to thank all of you for attending this session today. Thank you for making time in your busy schedules. We really appreciate it. And I would also like to thank Anissa and Shilpi for your time and for giving us all this valuable information. Thank you to our audience for joining us today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.